Hi everybody, and a warm welcome back to Maple Leaf Customs in Switzerland. I'm Andrew, and on the bench today is a Matchbox 1956 Jaguar XK140 Roadster. This is the first in line in my summer road trip series, this time with fellow Canadian Robin Hodgson. It's a nice looking little car. I've had it for a while now, wondering exactly what to do with it, and I've got a couple of ideas, and I sure want you to go by Robin's page and check out what he's going to do with the same casting. I guess I pretty well always show you the full disassembly process, in case you're new to the hobby and wondering what the different steps are. I do encourage you to follow all the safety guidelines. I use a bench vise, and I've yet to drill a hole through my finger with the power drill, so take care and use common sense. Here you see all the bits and pieces. The two-seat plastic interior. The steering wheel is kind of molded right into it. There's also a plastic chassis. You can remove the axles and the wheels just by giving a little bit of a twist in the midst of those three plastic tabs that hold these together. And don't worry if you break one off accidentally, you can always glue the axles back in at reassembly time. I'm actually going to hang on to these wheels because I like the style, but I am going to do an important modification to them. So pour yourself a hot cup of coffee and see what becomes of this English classic on the hobby bench here in Switzerland. Use a little bit of lubricant before you try to drill out the posts. Here in Europe I use a 2mm size drill bit, and these are Phillips head 256 self-tapping screws. I put them in before any paint stripping or paint reapplication just to keep the posts clean, and it'll go back together nice and easy. I do all my paint stripping in the paint booth, which has a nice strong ventilator fan, and there's an open window right beside me, so there's no trouble with fumes accumulating in my hobby room. And after a few minutes, the original factory paint comes off with minimal resistance. Every summer I invite a couple of different artists to participate with me in what I call my summer road trip series. They're all buddy builds. This is the first one you're watching today, and there are 4 more coming. So mark down these dates and you'll be able to watch what I do and what all of these other talented builders do with the same casting. I hope it will introduce you to a couple of new artists that you might not previously have known about. You've seen me use several different Dremel attachments when I do my bare metal detail on these castings. This is a nice bullet-shaped wire brush that doesn't throw the bristles like the wheel version does. I've got several different grit Scotch-Brite attachments, and you can follow that up with some 4/0 steel wool as well. If you were going to apply some Spectraflame paint, you could take it to the next step and do a full polish on your casting, but this is good for today. The community shout out goes to my buddy for this build, and that's Robin at Raceway. He's a fellow Canadian in Nova Scotia. Robin lives with a disability. It's a debilitating condition that he's got, so I'm very impressed with the work that he produces. He calls it folk art style on his little castings, and I've left a link in the description so you can go by and check out what he's up to. Thanks for doing that. Now, you say English roadster, I say British racing green. I'm not British, and I don't know if there's a recipe for that, but I've got Vallejo Basic Green, and I figure if I apply enough coats, it'll darken up and be as close as I can come up with in my laboratory here. And I don't want to leave the interior in black, so I'm going with Middlestone to give it a kind of a tan leather interior look. That's easy to do, and it comes out like this. According to Wikipedia, the Jaguar XK140 sports car was manufactured by Jaguar between 1954 and 1957 as the successor to the XK140. Upgrades included more interior space, improved brakes, rack and pinion steering, better suspension, and telescopic shock absorbers, replacing the older lever arm design. On the outside, the changes that distinguished it from the XK140 included more substantial front and rear bumpers with overriders and flashing turn signals above the front bumper. The grille remained the same size, but became a one-piece cast unit with fewer and broader vertical bars, and the Jaguar badge was incorporated into the grille surround. There was an emblem on the trunk lid that had the words Winner Le Mans 1951-3. Cool. The XK140 was powered by a 3.4-liter Jaguar XK double overhead camshaft inline-6 engine with 190 brake horsepower at 5,500 RPM as standard. In 1956, the XK140 became the first Jaguar sports car to be offered with automatic transmission. Now I'm looking at my chromed up details and figure I can do one more thing that might be an upgrade. That would be adding some dollar store rhinestone headlights and taillights. I put those yellow turn indicators that I just told you about on the front, and red taillights, or hot pink. This is a close-up of the actual Jaguar grille. On top of my chrome paint, I'm going to apply this decal that incorporates the badge, as previously stated. And I got a nice realistic look with the vertical bars up and down too. Now to the wheels. These are the original Matchbox plastic wheels. Not great, not bad, but I want to convert them into white wall tires, and I do that with a decal application as well. That's how easy it is. Compare that to the originals, and it's a subtle but impactful upgrade. I use some microsol, paint that on generously, especially around the edges, and when that's dry, it gets a matte clear coat finish, and those white wall decals are locked into place. There could hardly be fewer pieces to reassemble at the end of the process, so the refurbished wheels go back into those axle holders, and they're also held down by the interior, so I didn't use any glue or resin to affix them this time. The freshly painted and detailed body goes back into place with a little click, and the screws make sure everything is held tightly together. Wheels got good freedom of movement, and you can see it's a roller. Let's have a closer look. There's my faux British Racing green paint scheme on there. It's kind of close, and I think it looks really good with the tan interior. There's still a little bit of a gap between the bottom of the hood and the front bumper, which I wasn't able to eliminate, although I tried, so we'll call that a Matchbox casting design error. I'm not taking any credit for that. The white walls make a nice difference, as do the rhinestones and chrome highlights, which were all missing from the original casting, which I'll give you another peek at here. I actually like the paint color on this, but I had a few other things in mind, and this was the final result. It's mostly cosmetic. In fact, it's all cosmetic today, but you can see that a few details make a mighty big difference. And I think it shows off well in these glamour pics. I'd love to hear what you think, so leave a respectful comment and tell me your impression of the XK140, what you might have done differently, or what you see that you really like. Thanks again to Robin from Ripwreck Raceway in Nova Scotia, Canada. Remember to swing by his channel and see what he did with the very same casting. Thanks for dropping by here again today. I hope you'll come back soon and often. Drive carefully. It's coffee time.